where learning in several schools across the country was disrupted as a strike called by the Kenya Union of Primary Education Teachers, that is KUPPET, began. Whereas the rival union, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, withdrew from the strike, KUPPET has maintained that the government has not fulfilled their demands. Here's a report.
This in silence at Bomo School in Mombasa, with no activities save for a few learners turning up for the first day of the term, they picked the toll on learning by the KUPPET strike that began today. It is a cause for worry to the school's board of management.
Mtoto akiwa nyumbani kusoma ni ngumu. Unaona? Hawezi. Afadhali angekuja skuli, hata angekuja wote shule. Wale walimu wako hapa wa BOM. Labda wangefanya some revision na wao.
In Baringo, teachers took to the streets demanding that the Teacher Service Commission honors their collective bargaining agreement.
We want the full implementation of the CBA. Yes. Yes. We want the all intern teachers. And the most unfortunate part is our CS is saying there is no money. MPs say that we are placed in the budget. Yes. Who is fooling who?
So was the situation in Kakamega County as secondary school tutors outlined their demands.
The government has refused to give teachers what is rightfully theirs. We have come to demand that the government must be able to respect a CBA that is actually law on its own.
In Embu County, the area KUPPET Executive Secretary Jacob Karura warned teachers against betraying the strike.
Serikali tumejaribu waangalie matakwa yetu, lakini walitimiza jambo moja peke yake.
The TSC was accused of blackmail by the Kericho KUPPET branch secretary.
TSC did not even want to go through the list of our demands. And now that is why we voted in the National Governing Council 100% to go for industrial action.
Solidarity forever.
In Machakos County, more than 4,000 teachers downed their tools to demand for better working conditions. Learning was also paralyzed in secondary schools in Siaya County as teachers obeyed the KUPPET strike call.
But because our sister union has bowed out of the fight, KUPPET remains to continue with the fight.
The Ministry of Education, however, called upon teachers to call off the strike, saying the remaining demands are administrative and ought not to disturb learning.
9 of them are administrative. The main demand that was there relating to the payment of their salaries that is under the CBA has been done, and the resources have been released. So what we've advised them that these administrative decisions, administrative issues, they need to sit down with TSC as the teaching is going on for them to be resolved.
Ogamba made the remarks in Nairobi during a tour to Lenana Primary School to check on the opening of the third term.
And you can bet you're going to be keeping tabs on that, because we understand various schools, pupils and students are still making their way to their various learning institutions. So who will carry the day? KUPPET with industrial action, or NAT and TSC banding together and saying that teachers need to go back to school for the third term? We'll be doing a spot check in the course of this particular day. So do keep it KBC Channel 1. Still on education, President William Ruto has defended the new university funding model, assuring Kenyans that it aims at addressing inequalities in the country's education sector. Addressing a town hall meeting with students and other education stakeholders at KICC, the president said the means testing instruments being used to determine the banding of students ensures the most vulnerable in society are not disadvantaged. Take a look.
Since its inception on May 3rd to replace the differentiated unit cost DUC previously used to finance universities, the new university funding model has continued to draw sharp criticism from various stakeholders, with a section of students terming it discriminative.
What was so wrong with the old funding model that we could not sit down and amend it? So I feel we should go back to the old funding model.
Why the rush in implementing a model that has a lot of technicalities? Why the rush?
On Sunday evening, President William Ruto hosted a special convocation at the Kenyatta International Conference Center to debunk the myths surrounding the model.
The old model was almost destroying our education. Because, number one, it assumed that all the courses were the same.
The president noted that the government retired the old higher education funding model due to its inadequacies, which had driven more than half of the 40 universities in the country in dire financial crisis.
Scott Theological College, a university, closed down because of the old model. Many universities here, when I came into office, because of the old model, 23 out of 40 public universities were bankrupt.
The head of state further revealed that the banding in the new funding model existed way before, and that one band was added to the 4 that were existing before to make them 5, to ensure no student is left behind in the quest to get higher education.
We cannot continue as a nation to have an education system that shuts out millions of the children of the poor.
He reassured the country that at least 134,000 students applied for funding, with 26,000 appeals received so far for being wrongly banded.
I see many people, there is this problem. The students are being placed in the wrong band. This model is not good. But I have tremendous respect for the people who have ideas on how to solve the problem.
Well, that happened on Sunday, and the conversation is still ongoing with proponents and opponents of the same model. Now, county governments have been urged to adjust their budgets accordingly following the reduction of the shareable revenue by 20.1 billion shillings from 400.1 billion shillings to 380 billion shillings. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who chaired the opening of the 24th ordinary session of the Intergovernmental Budget and Economic Council in Nairobi, said the long-standing issue of pending bills that has been a major concern for both national and county administration has been addressed, stating the government's commitment to address and introduce and reduce the backlog of unpaid bills in future.
According to the Deputy President, the National Treasury has made notable progress in reducing the pending bills from 622.82 billion shillings as of June 2023 to 516.27 billion shillings by June 2024. This reduction, though not as substantial, pointing out to the magnitude of the financial obligations still facing the government.
During the extraordinary session, we made significant progress regarding implementation of the integrated county revenue management systems. It was resolved that counties will continue to maintain and operate their existing revenue systems while the National Steering Committee finalizes development of the new system and corresponding regulations.
The Deputy President also noted that despite these financial constraints, the National Treasury managed to transfer 354.5 billion shillings to counties by the end of the last financial year, equivalent to 92% of the total equitable share due to them. The outstanding amount of 30.83 billion shillings, which was delayed due to revenue shortfalls, was released in July 2024. The Council of Governors, however, said the 20.1 billion shillings reduction in shareable revenue from 400.1 billion shillings to 380 billion shillings would complicate the fiscal landscape for counties.
Further to our resolutions, we have successfully transferred movable assets, including registers and valuation reports, to the 47 county governments. The IGRTC, in collaboration with NTSA, is facilitating the change of ownership of these assets. Additionally, the State Department of Devolution, in collaboration with IGTRC and other relevant MDAs, has made significant progress in valuation of fixed assets.
The money relating to the June disbursement of 30.8 billion Kenya shillings was finally disbursed, although most of the accounts haven't accessed because of various challenges relating to the approvals by the control of budget, which one of the resolution has been that we need to have a meeting with the control of budget, a committee that will address the issues of approval so that we automate that process. With regard to the disbursement of the allocated amount for this financial year, we are in arrears for the month of June, or rather July, and August. And because of the lack of the CARA, that is the County Allocation of Revenue Act 2024, which has not yet been approved by Senate, the Act mandates the National Treasury under the Division of Revenue Allocation Act to release up to 50%.
The meeting also discussed the need for counties to harmonize the cess rates to reduce the cost of doing business for farmers, the implementation of the Integrated County Revenue Management System, and ongoing agricultural sector reforms to boost productivity and protect farmers from exploitation by middlemen.
We cross over to Mombasa as we speak matters business, where the process of relocating landowners displaced by the construction of the Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone in Mombasa and Kwale counties will begin this week. Investment Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya says the government, through the Kenya Ports Authority, has allocated 1.4 billion shillings for compensation to 1,648 landowners to restart their lives on their new 400-acre piece of land.
Construction of the Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone is set to transform Mombasa County into a regional logistics hub. The 50 billion shillings project, strategically located in the proximity of the port of Mombasa, the standard gauge railway, and the Moi International Airport, is expected to be completed by 2026. This week, the government commenced compensation for those affected by the project in Mombasa and Kwale counties. The process will see 1,648 people relocated and offered cash to enable them restart their lives.
At compensation for Dongo Kundu, 1,648 project-affected persons will begin this week. Of course, it will run for a few more days. And this is a project which is very special for the development of our country.
Mvurya says 97 investors have expressed interest in the 3,000 acres Dongo Kundu Special Economic Zone, with 60% being local investors and 40% foreign.
Applications, 97 applications for several investors, which have a value of slightly above 500 billion, and most of them are being screened now.
Mvurya says the list of investors in special economic zones would be reviewed by cancelling licenses for those who do not invest within 6 months.
We don't want people to, hoard and begin to form cartels, around special economic zone.
Plans are also underway to gazette the Lapset Special Economic Zone.
All this comes as Cabinet has already agreed to the merger of the special economic zones and the EPAs, that is the economic zones that we have, so that they can have these particular agencies and initiatives under one roof for better efficiency. Now, unscrupulous business people could be fueling the high food prices in sub-Saharan Africa by engaging in price gouging. Now, this is according to the COMESA Competition Commission that is engaging policymakers to address the issue.
Rising food prices are a key driver of inflation in sub-Saharan Africa, which has a disproportionate impact on poorer households. Climate change has led to food scarcity, and COMESA is alarmed that traders are practicing price gouging that is pushing food prices up.
Agri markets are simply not working well. We have traders who are benefiting from this situation, who are suppressing farmer prices so that they buy at a low price. And then price gouge and sell at a very high price to consumers. And that exacerbates poverty in that the farmer gets a lower price, he has no incentive to produce next year.
The COMESA Competition Commission met diplomats in Zambia representing COMESA member states to push for policy changes in the region to deter restrictive practices.
They're talking about inflation. They say average inflation in the COMESA region is about 24.2%. The bigger part of that average is on food and non-alcoholic beverages, 23.3%. The rest fall below that. So food has become a problem everywhere. And competition policy and law as we have assembled here today, should play a part in ensuring that we address this rise in food inflation.
COMESA Secretary General Chileshe Mpundu Kapwepwe said that with over 80% of Africa's population depending on agriculture, concerted effort is required to ensure enforcement of competition law to address food inflation, food security, and eradicate poverty.
Competition policy and law plays a complementary role to the efforts of COMESA Secretariat in addressing market imperfections in our market, including agriculture sector, which may not be adequately addressed through other policy interventions and thereby contribute to regional integration agenda. COMESA is alive to the fact that an efficient and integrated common market cannot thrive in an environment of restrictive, unequal, and discriminatory business practices.
So the rise in food inflation that we are seeing not just in COMESA region, not just in Africa, but the world over, should be tackled with concerted efforts.
Now we speak sports, where the Kenya Police Bullets are a win away from securing a place in the 4th edition of the CAF Women's Championship League after beating Tanzania's Simba Queens 3-2 to book a place in the final of the CECAFA Women's Championship League qualifiers. The CAF Women's Championship League will be played in November this year.
Kenya Police Bullets had to come from behind in the second half to beat Simba Queens 3-2 and secure their place in the final of the CECAFA Women's Champions League qualifiers. The Kenyan ladies struck first in the 29th minute through Lucy Kwekwe, but the Queens from Tanzania leveled the score through Corazon Aquino just 6 minutes to the break. Simba Queens looked destined for the final when Corazon Aquino netted her second goal in the 56th minute, but Police Bullets were not shaken and leveled 5 minutes later courtesy of Diana Wasera. And it would be the Bullets who would have the last laugh thanks to Rebecca Okwaro, who rounded off goalkeeper Rufa to seal the much-deserved victory and a place in the final.